that I was just talking to you about. How I don't think Jason and Elizabeth are going to get a fair shot.
All right, so let's hope this goes public instead of private.
That I was just talking to you about.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, I don't think Jason and Elizabeth are going to get a fair shot. Huh? There, I think we might be live,
We
unless
are
we're
live.
private.
We are live, but it went private. I'm gonna see if I could change it on the
Why
fly.
does that happen? You still can't figure out why that happens?
Yeah, I can't figure that out as to why that happens. Um, no, it's not made for kids. And let me see, is there any possible
Hi, Austin Butlers.
visibility
Hold
is
on.
public, so it should be there. Let
I don't know how I'm going to operate with these nails. They're so long.
me see.
I'm not going to be able to operate with these. I'm going to break a nail tomorrow. I'm probably going to break a nail.
Oh, it is public. Okay, so we are live.
We're public. Hi. Hello, everybody. Sorry. You're hearing like side discussion because we're just making sure we're live.
We are live. So I'm going to go ahead and post that we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Suds in the Squared Circle, Suds News. I am Vinny. This is a slightly buzzed Christy.
Sorry. Sorry, y'all.
Um,
It's an interesting week.
that's all right. It's not a problem at all. It's one of those things where sometimes life happens. Anyways, how was your week last week?
So I finally got over being sick.
Well, that's a good
I
thing.
I slept most of the weekend. And then by Sunday night, I realized I am actually going to go to New York and I may possibly meet Austin Butler. And at the very least, I'll be in the same room about 100 feet away from him. And then I forgot how sexy his voice sounded. And then I listened to some of his interview clips and I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. I am in trouble now. So y'all pray for me because I'm going to New York and I'm going to try to meet Austin Butler and give him a gift because there are fans on GoFundMe that I did last year that raised $300 to give him a gift. And I had to purchase it again because the gift got lost in the mail. And I don't think you could actually send Austin Butler a gift in the mail because he's way too famous. And I don't even know if any of his people will forward his mail. So, anyways, that's my quest for this week to meet Austin Butler, which is why I am buzzed because I didn't sleep last night because I was so excited. And if I don't sleep tonight, I'm worried for what might happen in New York City. So I need to sleep tonight. So hence me being buzzed, which is not normally what you would get. You usually get sober Christy, but you're just going to get something a little different tonight, or what my friend David would say, I'm being naughty. So hi,
Yeah.
David, if you're here and listening to this.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to David on Blog Talk Radio on Take Two Radio or talk Take Two Radio Soaps and Review. So I was just on there for 2 hours. But now we're here and there's a lot of stuff to go over. First of all, for those of you who are watching and listening, thank you for choosing to watch us tonight. Go ahead and click the like button, get subscribed, get notified. If you're listening on a podcast, again, thank you. Go ahead and make sure that you give us a 5-star Apple review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. Also, if just want to let you know, we do have that awesome affiliation now with Fanatics and WWE Shop, which is a Fanatics experience. Go ahead and go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. That'll take you to the WWE Shop using our affiliate code, and we do get commission on that. You can buy this awesome CM Punk shirt from there as well. Also, everything else that we normally go over, the website, the Twix accounts, Facebook, etc. Follow us everywhere. And we've got a lot to go over today because we've got some big breaking news that just came out not
Yeah.
too long ago. Um, Chris Van Etten and Dan O'Connor are out as head writers at General Hospital, and the new head writers are Patrick Mulcahy and Elizabeth Corte. And Elizabeth has been there for over 30 years at this point, so she knows the history of
Oh,
General
yeah. I'm
Hospital.
actually so excited about this, to tell you the truth, Vinny. Like, when I heard about this, there's been some issues with Chris and Dan for a while, or at least issues with some of us fans. Maybe not everybody feels that way. And that's fine. They wrote some good stuff. They wrote great stuff for Chalen once upon a time. They had
Yep,
great foundation for them, but the pacing was just so bad. And I think I kind of
yep,
have to attribute that to Chris and Dan, and I'm sorry. Thank you for everything you did, because it's probably really hard writing a soap opera for five that airs 5 days a week.
of
But
course.
I mean, there was just some writing issues, and I think there has been for a while. So I'm actually not mad about this news,
Mhm.
but I am grateful for what, the good Chris and Dan did. So thank you for your service. But I am happy to enter a new era, and I feel like we need more female head writers on General Hospital and soaps in general. So I'm
Yeah,
honestly
absolutely.
all for it.
No,
Because
absolutely. I completely agree with you. We do need more female head writers in daytime in general. Hello, Nathan. Welcome to the chat. And remember, folks, the chat is open. Definitely get us your thoughts as we move through the week that was in Port Charles. Before we do get into the General Hospital information, I do want to mention that today there was the announcement of the cover superstar for WWE 2K14 coming out on March 5th. As always, there's going to be three editions. The main standard edition has Cody Rhodes on the cover. The deluxe edition actually has two female superstars on the cover, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, and then the actual Extreme Deluxe edition, whatever you want to call it, is the um 40 years of WrestleMania edition. That's going to be the biggest price point, of course. I did pre-order it already, so keep an eye out for that, but well deserved for
my
Cody.
my roommate is here behind the screen going, "Yes, wrestling." She loves wrestling. So that's my bonus mom, y'all. So
Well, that's good. I'm glad. At least we got some wrestling in the house.
yeah.
And trust me, Royal Rumble coming up this coming Saturday evening on Peacock at 8 o'clock. Um, and let me put it this way: this is the first time in many years that the Royal Rumble you actually can't pick who's going to win. It's storyline based, which is great. Triple H has done a fantastic job as coming into the writing and being the head content officer. So this, you could have CM Punk winning it. You could have Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Gunther. Right now it's up in the air, and I'm very happy to say that I cannot wait for this Saturday Royal Rumble on Peacock, live from Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay, um, and or in Florida, I should say. No, it is Tampa Bay because that's where the Tampa Bay Rays play. So that was actually the former site of the Thunderdome back during the COVID era for a little while. So um, they're back there now. And I do want to say that I did go ahead and add yet another wrestling show to my WrestleMania weekend. Um, as everybody knows, I'm going down to Philadelphia for WrestleMania 40. So not only am I going to both nights of WrestleMania, I'm also going to the SmackDown prior, which has the Hall of Fame, the NXT, which is a Saturday of WrestleMania night one, as well as my
My roommate is loving this, by the way. She's just like, "Yes!" Every time you mention wrestling, it's like, "Oh, I'm
um
gonna
but I
see."
also just added to my agenda Thursday night at the old ECW arena, the 2300 arena, and that's going to be an independent show surrounded with WrestleCon, so I'm going to be there as well, so I'm going to be a full weekend of wrestling. And
Get you a media pass, man.
I'm
Like, that's
working on it.
amazing.
I did reach out to WWE about getting media credentials, especially for the press conference, the media scrum after WrestleMania. I'm hopeful I can get in. I'm gonna pester them.
Yeah, I mean, you've already got your tickets paid for, so it's not like
Exactly.
we have to front you tickets.
Exactly. So that's my goal. That's what I'm working on. Again, for those of you, like I said, I did purchase this the tumbler. Christie's is actually in the mail. But
Thank you, Vinny.
this is made by Creations by Riss, Riss from Connecticut. creations by Riss, RISS at gmail.com. And they do make they make custom tumblers. Reach out to her for information. Again, thank you all for watching and listening. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, get notified. Let me kind of catch up on chat a little bit. Nathan, welcome. You did say with the recent writing change, it's a welcoming change, though I am concerned with Elizabeth Corte at the helm. She has a love affection for Carly a little bit too much. Um, David Patrick Mulcahy was part of the 90s era of General Hospital. And speaking of the 90s, I'm just happy that the new writers are not Vince Russo and or Tony Khan. Because number one, the as everybody knows, my disdain for AEW and the writing for AEW is just absolutely horrible. Tony Khan
Oh,
probably he
that's why
absolutely
you don't watch it, even though one of my roommates really likes AEW, and you said you didn't like it.
yes, we talked about that off air, and yes, you're right.
Mhm.
I have a disdain for AEW because of their writing. There's no storytelling, there's no psychology. But
Oh,
Vince Russo, we all
my
know,
bonus mom agrees. My bonus mom agrees with you. She's like, yes,
and
yes,
then
that's
we all know Vince Russo, what he did during the Attitude Era, how he was great in the WWE, but when he went to WCW, the bloom fell off the rose because he did not have the filter that was Vince McMahon keeping him in line because he basically outside of the finger poke of doom and many other things, put the nail in the coffin of WCW. All right. So David said that Patrick was part of the 90s era of General Hospital. Chad says, hey, Christy. Hey, Vinny.
Oh,
I thought I got
Chad's
blocked from the
here.
comments.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for staying
Apparently,
up late.
apparently I was using the wrong version of YouTube. So welcome.
Oh, maybe
Welcome to
that's what
Chad.
it
Welcome to
is.
David.
Let me go
Welcome to
live.
Nathan. And you guys are talking about Chad does say, "Hey, Christy, I love how thrifty you're being about seeing Austin Butler." Um,
Oh gosh, I try to go to New York City on a budget every time, but I guarantee you whatever money I quote unquote save, New York City will take all of it like a vacuum
absolutely.
to my wallet, to my bank account and go, "Oh, hey, you think you're coming here with this much money? You will leave with $0." Like
That is
next to
very,
nothing.
very true. Especially and living in Connecticut, which has basically become a suburb of New York City. It's the same thing. All right. Um, So, what do you want to talk about? We got a lot to talk about here in Port Charles this
Yeah.
week. Coming off of Bobby Spencer's memorial and funeral, uh, we actually had a pretty decent week this week in Port Charles regarding just a lot of storyline movement and in general. First off, we go to oh, Chad says that was supposed to be thirsty, not thrifty. Um,
Oh. For Austin
yes,
Butler.
for Austin Butler.
Valid, valid, valid. All
Um,
right, let's get
uh,
into General
yeah,
Hospital
let's get
because
into Port
believe me,
Charles.
I could do a whole podcast about Austin Butler. So let's go to
So let's get into
General
General
Hospital.
Hospital. Yes, got to talk about it. The biggest thing in the room is on Friday's episode, Drew said those two little words to Nina that were made famous by Vincent Kennedy McMahon. You're fired. Um, or you could have done the Donald Trump. You're
Or
fired.
the Donald Trump, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
But let's not mention him. I'm sorry, I don't particularly like him. So I'll go
um,
with the Vincent McMahon thing.
but you know what? Either way, the thing is one of the biggest things that was brought up on Twix is that when Nina signed with Julie and Jerome to become uh, the the head editor of Crimson, she signed a no fire contract basically, um, and basically she could not be fired by any of the owners or managers or whoever came in to run Aurora. However, with that said, basically she was blackmailed into resigning from Crimson. Uh, Drew went ahead and basically kind of told her that he was going to close down Crimson, put all of her staff out of business
Yep.
if she didn't resign. And she did. She ended up, going with it and said, you know what? I care about the workers and the writers and the staff. I don't want you to shutter Crimson, so go ahead and I will step back. And that's exactly what she did. So he kind
Funny
of,
how like Drew is like the second one basically to blackmail Nina into doing whatever
yeah.
he wants, which
But
is interesting.
you're absolutely right. And the biggest thing is that Nina brings a lot of this crap on herself. And she doesn't take any accountability. There's one thing about getting your accountability, but there's another completely thing to blame everything on everybody else. We already know that Carly hid the truth about Nell and hid the truth about Willow from Nina for months. We know that. It's in the past. But that did not necessarily make Nina that didn't actually cause Nina to do anything other than be vindictive. Remember, Nina called the SEC on Drew and Carly because they did do insider trading. They did. So she was right to do what she did. She did it out of pettiness. She did it out of
She didn't do it for the right reasons. She
exactly.
did it for her own selfish motives.
And the thing is, Drew was right. Carly never made any. Carly lost a lot of money on it, and nobody actually told Carly to invest in Aurora. She did it on her own behalf. However, at the time, she thought that Aurora and ELQ were going to merge, so she was acting on inside information that never actually happened. So it's not like a Martha Stewart case or any other kind of case where somebody made a lot of money on insider information. She lost everything, including the shirt off her back. And then Drew had to go to prison because the judge was making an example out of him.
Right. And then he got beat up in prison, which will live on in my mind forever because he got beat up naked in the shower.
Yes.
Realistic, yes, but it's still traumatizing, even in my mind to this day, even though I'm not like the biggest like Drew fan or anything, but that's traumatizing. Like that could be traumatizing to someone who's never dealt with that kind of thing before in prison or anyway,
Oh yeah,
anywhere.
no, of course, absolutely. And the other thing is Drew brought it up that, he was away from Scout. Now, granted, after being,
Yeah.
Cassadine Island in Greece for held captive by Victor Cassadine for 2 years, and then to come back, and then having to go to prison for a month, it could have been 2.5 years or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. Um, being taken away from the scout, but then right after he gets out of prison, he goes down to Australia. So,
Mhm.
there's a little bit of hypocrisy with Drew saying, "You took me away from my daughter."
Totally. Yeah.
But I have to say, I like this new edge of Drew. It's actually making the character a lot more interesting.
Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
and a lot more, well, lack of a better term, edgy. Um, but Drew is still getting a lot of hate online. I don't know whether it's just because Cameron Matheson, does a lot of stuff with Hallmark Channel or whatever, but it's a lot of
I
people.
don't care about that. I think it's a Drew character thing. I think it's like a writing. Like he is a little bit of a hypocrite and he does, you know, I don't know. But like you said, this gives him an edge. So I'm not really that mad at it because I'm just like, ooh, I kind of like to see Drew angry and mad. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting because he's always like this happy go lucky guy who's like friends with everybody. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, it's kind of nice to see him have like a huge conflict with somebody and kind of have an edge to him because he really doesn't like Nina. And that gives him a little bit of like a, well, I'm going to do something even in let my emotions influence my business decisions, even though, she brought that up, obviously.
yep.
And he's going to do it anyway because he feels like he has the right. And, whatever.
The
I don't
best
I don't mind it because Nina's, Nina, and we don't like her for various reasons because of what she did. So it's fine with me.
But you actually, the thing is, and David is right. You can't blame Nina for Drew's beating. Yeah, Drew wouldn't be in prison if it wasn't for her. But if you remember, Drew kind of ruffled some feathers when he went in, getting on Cyrus Renault's bad side, and
Yes.
even though Cyrus is doing his whole, prophecy and, saying the good word act while he was in there. Although, at that point in time, we were still under the FICO writer. So, yeah, that was a different
Mhm.
kind of thing. So they did write Drew into that situation. Um, the argument could be made is, yeah, Drew wouldn't be in that situation in prison if it wasn't for Nina.
Mhm.
But, you can't blame Nina. Nina's not the one that put Cyrus at Drew or pointed the guys that beat him up at Drew. Um, Unfortunately, prison has its own politics and its own pecking order, and Drew kind of went in and upset that apple cart. Um,
Yeah.
so, but the best line is that Nina said, I'm irreplaceable. And Drew said, well, you know what? I already hired your replacement. And in walks Carly.
Oh, she looked hot.
And let me
That
tell you something.
girl, that girl was in all black. I'm like, Carly is in her reputation era. And y'all Taylor Swift fans know what I'm talking about. But like, ooh, that Carly came in hot. She looked good. And I'm not a big Carly fan, but she looked good. And that she knows how to make an entrance. You have to admit that, even if you're not a Carly fan.
No,
She knows
absolutely.
how to make an entrance.
And it's funny because Matt from the 10th floor posted that when Carly came walking in, she needed an entrance song, and he's teasing that it could have been Stone Cold or with the glass shattering or the Rock with If You Smell What the Rock is Cooking. But I
If
said, you
you're
know
a
what?
Taylor Swift fan, ready for it? Just
Uh, well, that
putting it
wasn't
out there.
necessarily on my thought. But the one that I chose, that I said, you know what? And it's perfect. I'll play a short snippet now so we don't get thrown off YouTube, but or
Mm,
demonetized. Well, we're not even monetized, but thrown off.
we're not monetized.
But
Yeah.
basically, it it just comes down to Stephanie McMahon. And that's what Carly's the song should have been playing, making an entrance like only she could. Um,
Hmm.
but the question is, does she have any experience to bring, a Crimson Trail? Like she has no experience running a magazine, let alone a fashion magazine.
Okay, this is true, but it's Carly. And isn't she open to being a quick learner? She learned how to run Bobby's slash Kelly's.
But
Like,
she had experience in the hospitality industry already.
true, she did. But I just feel like Carly can do anything she puts her mind to. And especially if it's about sticking it to Nina, all bets are off. Doesn't matter if she's experienced or not. Carly's going to do it. And she's probably going to try to do a better job than Nina did, if I know Carly. So
So
fine
so
with me because I don't like Nina, right?
so
So
is Carly the general the Port Charles Barbie where she can be every have every job or career path that she wants?
okay, any
Uh,
female in General Hospital could be the GH Barbie and have any job or position they want, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm all about female empowerment and feminism. But regardless of all of that, Carly can do whatever she wants, and Carly will do whatever she wants because Carly does what she wants. And if you don't like it, too bad. Go sit in the corner and cry. Like, that's just how it is.
so just kind
Am
of
I right, Carly fans? I mean, I'm not a huge Carly fan, but I'm pretty sure that's how Carly operates.
well, you know what? Regardless of anything, Laura Wright is fantastic. Laura Wright
Oh yeah,
as an actor is
100%.
just absolutely fantastic, and she can do anything that she puts her mind to. Um, Kind of catching up on Chad a little bit. Chad says you're right about Nina takes no accountability. Channel said people were complaining that Drew's the Peloton guy, that he's teeth lavery, etc. So now they've given him the harder edge, and people are still not happy, which is true. People are complaining about just about anything, about Drew, about Carly, about Nina, about Esme.
That's
Uh,
just General Hospital fans because we
yeah,
always find
exactly.
something to
Let's so
complain
put it.
about.
It's
That's
so
just
so bad.
norm. That's just the norm. That's just like the MO. That's just like our
Yeah,
normal status quo. We got to
yeah,
find something to complain about because General Hospital is not 100% perfect. And we know that. And we're going to talk about it. Hence why we have a podcast. Hence why many other people have a podcast. So
exactly.
we're here.
Also, quick programming note before we move on. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, is the live debut of Dockside at the Bay, with myself and my new co-host Kim, who happens to be from Chicago, which is
Hey, hey.
which is quite ironic that both of my co-hosts are from Chicago. Um, and that was
Mhm.
not even planned that way.
That's
But
that's so
it'll be
funny.
at
I
10
love
p.m.
it.
Eastern tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Bay. Episode one dropped last week. Talked about the Bay, the beginning, episode one. It was just me without a co-host. Tomorrow night we'll be live with a co-host. So
Good.
uh,
Fantastic. Love it.
that'll be that, and then there's still more content coming down the pike as I get things done, and get through.
Vinny's just a content creator nowadays, y'all. You better be ready. He's just gonna keep churning out some stuff. So
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I I admire the work ethic
The
there.
only thing
That's
I am not going to do
admirable.
is OnlyFans, so
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that one. Um,
Oh, y'all, you lucky wine wasn't in my mouth. I would have spit it out.
um, and let's see. So again, we did have we had some scenes with did we have some scenes with Chase in Brooklyn this week? I don't believe
Did
so.
we? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, she might have been in some Quartermain scenes. Brooklyn might have been in a Quartermain scene or two, but I don't think there was any Jason Brooklyn this week that I recall. But I am on my second glass of wine, so my memory's a little fuzzy at this point. So
Although I will say that it did come up to I will say that it was a very Nina centric week. Um, because outside of her getting fired from Crimson, um, also she had it out with
Willow.
Willow. Here's the thing. Here's my biggest thing with. Oh, okay. So there was Chaylin stuff today. I did not watch today's. I won't be
I
watching.
didn't watch today either. I was way too busy at work trying to get stuff done before I leave for 3 days.
Um. Yeah, it was for a while. So that was
I'm
today.
happy though.
But
I'm happy about that. I will watch today as I fall asleep drunk in my bed.
so um you know, Nina and Willow, here's the biggest thing about Nina. She doesn't know when to stop. She's one of those people that just keeps on going. Like, I get it that she wanted to make up with Willow and kind of explain her side and everything, but Willow's not ready for it. And she's like, let's talk. I want to talk. I'm so sorry. I won't. It was because of this. It was because of that. It was because of this. And why does Carly get a free pass instead of just coming out and saying, yes, I did call the SEC. Drew and Carly did this, and I called out of spite because of XYZ. And that's all there is to it. And I'm sorry. Instead, she keeps trying to push and say, maybe at some point, we'll be able to have a good relationship again, and maybe this and maybe that. And the only reason why I kept quiet is because, Michael wanted me to, not spend time with you or the kids. And then when Drew and Carly come up and say, um, Drew and Carly come up and say, Willow, were you okay? And Nina's like, well, guess what? Michael knew the whole time for months too. And Willow's like, well, if you didn't lose
No,
me before,
no,
you sure as hell lost me now.
Epic fail on all fronts, Nina. Like,
Exactly.
nothing you say is saving this situation at all. Nothing. You're just burying yourself in a deeper and deeper hole.
Yeah. And that's all, that's what it boils down to, is that Nina does just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's like, I get it. She wants to say her piece. She wants to make herself look good. She wants to apologize. But she's not going to make herself look good. I've been in those situations. I've had to learn to shut my mouth when somebody wasn't receptive to me talking to them,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
You know, I do want to give an honorable mention, seriously, to Cynthia Watros, because I
Oh,
know
yeah.
she must get an insane amount of hate for her character.
Oh, she
Like,
does. Yeah.
crazy insane amount of hate, especially on X or Twix, because it's just the most negative platform, let's be honest, of
It
social
is.
media. And I can't imagine the crazy hate comments, but she responded to one the other day, which I saw, with
Mhm.
a GIF, because they meant to say something else, but they said duck. And she responded with a GIF with a duck. And I'm telling you, that was classic. That was like
I didn't see that.
one of the best responses I have ever seen. So, honorable mention, like, if this was Dish and Days, 3 claps award for Cynthia Watros this week, because that was one of the best responses to a troll on Twitter I have ever seen. So, Cynthia, I admire you. I know you probably get so much hate, but like, we love to hate Nina,
Yeah,
but like, that just means Cynthia's doing her job like really,
exactly.
really well. So
Yeah.
I just want to point that out.
But I want to see Nina stop being so apologetic. Like, own the shit that you've done and be like, yeah, Carly and Drew committed this crime. So no, I'm not sad that I'm sad that Carly didn't get arrested and go to prison. I'm sad that Drew had to be taken away and stuff that happened. I want her to own it. Like, stop being so apologetic. Like, you know what? Take your lumps, because you know what? You're going to be more respected if you just go out there and take it like a person, and take it, without
Just yeah.
own it.
Exactly. Just like own up. Yeah, own up to what you did.
Yeah.
Stop trying to justify everything
Yes.
and go, "Well, Michael
Exactly.
did this. Michael didn't say anything." Meh, meh, meh,
Yep.
meh. She keeps making excuses for like why she did what she did, and she just
Right.
keeps like deflecting blame on other people, and I'm like, yeah, yeah. See how this works for you, Nina. See how this works for you. See if this helps anything, because I guarantee you, it's just not working,
Yeah.
and that's why she's crying. And she's like, "Oh, why doesn't anyone accept my apology? Because it's not genuine.
Right.
It's not genuine."
You're exactly right. It's not. Chad chimed in saying the biggest problem with Nina, yes, she keeps pushing Willow to forgive her and accept her. Exactly, Nina needs to own her bad woman. She keeps crying, expects absolution. So it's and that's where they come. And then David said the
100%.
heart.
100% accepts absolution. She's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I apologize. So all is forgiven now, right?"
yeah.
Like, that's literally her response. And I'm like, no.
And then she
Here.
goes to see Cyrus, and she's trying to um be mad at Cyrus because he played, he listened to her confession instead of the
Oh, yeah.
truth.
That reminds me. Both Nina and Esme were really desperate this week and both went to see Cyrus.
Yes.
Extremely desperate woman to get their way.
Oh, we'll get to
They
Esme
should be
in a little bit.
friends. Nina and Esme need to hook up and be friends, because they're both
Imagine.
playing the same kind of game.
But see, and which is there's a couple of thoughts I have on that. That would be fantastic if they balanced each other out.
Mm,
If Esme, which we know she regained her memories, and she's turning into the a hybrid of the old Esme and the new Esme. Um,
right.
but she's trying to hide it as much as possible. Whereas, Nina, they could cause so much chaos in Port Charles if they teamed up.
Oh my god.
Um,
The They could probably blow up the town. Like, I'm not
Kidding.
kidding. They really could. Like, it happened on days. My favorite character, Camila, aka Gabby Hernandez. Now Gabby she has a last name. She's a new last name because she married
Tamara.
Demara. Sorry, I couldn't think of it for a second because I'm like on my second glass of wine. But yeah, like it's the same thing. Like literally could be such a baddie. These two baddies could literally blow up the town of Port Charles because of their badness.
Uh,
100%.
yeah. But see, with Esme, kind of switching gears now to Esme's story, we know that she's gotten her memories back.
Oh yeah.
Here's my big thing. I feel like the character of Laura right now is just very, at least for this week, was very I don't want to say two-faced, but very
Mm.
was flim-flammy, if that's a word. Because because she's
Right? Yeah,
she,
like she kind of wants to ride both sides of the fence type of thing.
yeah, because she tells Esme, you have to be held accountable, you have to go turn yourself in for breaking into Windermere. But then when the judge gives her just probation and community service or whatever, and Spencer is like, why didn't you? Or Trina goes to her and says, you should have gotten in prison, not for this, but you've got to be held accountable. And then it's like Laura's on her side, saying, no, she didn't have to go to prison. She shouldn't have had to go to prison. And when Nicholas finally comes back and talks to Spencer and gets Spencer to give him Ace to take Ace away.
That's a whole nother can of worms that we got to get into.
Yes. Um, you know,
That was a doozy.
so Spencer gives Ace to Nicholas and says, you're his father. And I like that Nicholas was redeemed, in my opinion, this week.
No.
At least with his relationship to Spencer.
It's getting there. It's progress. I won't say it's 100% redeemed.
Mhm.
I will say it's progress. But the fact that Nicholas, I mean, Spencer just gave Nicholas Ace and was like, sure, haven't seen you in a few months. Sure. Here's the kid. Bye. Good riddance. Like, see
But
you later.
Spencer,
Like, I
Spencer,
mean, what?
Spencer truly believes that Ace will be safer with Nicholas because they connected with the heart to heart and Nicholas apologized and
I'm having trouble believing what Nicholas was saying when he was like, well, it would be more dangerous if Ace was left with you. And I'm like, but what's your proof? Like, I'm confused. Why? Like, he didn't really explain, did he?
well, when Spencer explained that Esme got her memories back, that at least he believed so because she called him Spence. I know that's a little flimsy of a
It's a bit, it needs more
war.
material there because it's a very weak, like, it's coming across as a very weak excuse, like, oh, she got a memory back, she called me Spence. Like she's right. Like, oh, everyone's gonna just believe you because I called you
Well,
Spence. Like,
but see,
like
here's the
he
thing.
is right
Yeah.
because it's not like coming across as valid enough of like, oh, she's definitely got her memory back because like he's right, but like not everyone's gonna see it because they don't really know the ins and outs of the whole Spencer Esme thing. And I think it will come to pass because eventually, like, she's definitely gonna like flip out. Like, she's
Right.
already flipping out already because Ace is gone. But she will continue to flip out and it will continue to show her true colors that she's really back to the old Esme. And so it'll be interesting to see how this like bakes in the oven, so to speak. So we'll see how this goes. But
Here's the thing. When Spencer was at the police station visiting Esme, he had a couple of different flashbacks besides just being called Spence. Like he had some other flashbacks that he was
oh
able to
yeah.
put together that she had her memories back. What
The
happened?
flashbacks were good. They
Yeah.
were good. I will give GH points for that.
What happened to those memories for Spencer saying, hey, she remembered XYZ out of our relationship, besides just saying, oh, she called me Spence? But again, Laura coming back and kind of being on Esme's side and saying, why would you give Ace to Nicholas? Esme's his mother and fighting for Esme.
You know what's crazy is the crazy thing about this whole situation is I understand where Esme is coming from
Yep.
because she hasn't really done anything to show that she would harm her baby, right?
Agreed.
Am I
Agreed.
right?
You're
Like
right.
she hasn't really done anything to say like, "Oh, I'm going to go like murder my child one day." And like that's fine. Like it's nothing like that. Like she's actually like really taking care of her baby even after her memories came back and she knows stuff. She's still very vigilant about taking care of Ace and making sure her baby's okay. So I really don't think she would do anything
No, of course
to
not.
Ace. She may psychologically manipulate her kid down the line, of course. Of course,
See,
that's possible.
that's where I feel like Kevin needs to be involved in this, because Kevin worked with Ryan so much and saw Ryan for how manipulative he was. So why wouldn't Kevin get involved with his niece, Ryan's daughter, so that she doesn't become like he was and
Mm,
become Kevin
that
needs to be there. He needs to be involved in the storyline,
100%.
you know?
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
instead of Laura being the voice of reason, or being the one that sees good in Esme, Kevin should be, because for years Kevin kept his brother hidden because he thought he could fix him and thought he could change him and said he could try to see good in him until the very end when he realized there's just no redeeming Ryan Chamberlain. Um,
Is there any chance we could redeem Esme,
I
who's
think
the
so.
daughter of Ryan Chamberlain? Like that's really the real question.
Yeah,
Like, because now that she has her memories back and she feels justified of her past actions, I don't think there really is any true redemption for Esme then, right?
I
Like that's
think
the
there
real dilemma.
I think there is. There has to be, once they figure out the situation with Ace, if Esme is to be redeemed, she needs to A, come clean that she remembers her past, or B, she needs to say, okay, I remember all the crap I did in the past, and actually learn the fact that she was manipulated by Ryan, and learn from her mistakes or learn from her past. That's the only way that she's actually going to be redeemed. Um, let's kind of catch up on the chat a little bit.
We'll see.
Um, let's see. Cynthia Rachos is great and has been since Guiding Light. No, it's not genuine for me. She keeps on about changing Nell. She tried, and Nell threw her kindness in her face because she was a sociopath. Um, I love the scene between Nicholas and Spencer. If Nicholas wanted to show he's changed, he wouldn't just take his kid and disappear from Spencer's life again.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's a
I agree.
little.
But he didn't want to stay in Port Charles because he didn't want to go to prison. Um, as for
That
Laura,
yeah, see that whole thing is crazy to me, and Laura has some valid points there about
yes,
like, oh well, Nicholas is like on the run, and he's just gonna take the baby and just like think that's a good idea and just like go.
yeah.
Really?
Um, as for
Yeah,
Laura, they play
that's
off.
gonna backfire. That's gonna backfire, I think, on
It
Nicholas.
will.
Something's gonna happen.
Oh, absolutely. As for Laura, they play off Laura's good heart and trusting kind nature as naive, especially when it comes to
True.
her guilt about leaving Nicholas. But I see people on Twix saying that she tried to hurt her baby by trying to throw herself off the parapet. But since then, she's been very motherly towards him and done nothing to show that she's hurting him. And I agree about Kevin. And spoiler, they are supposed to have some scenes later on. Nathan chimes in saying the fact that Kevin and Esme haven't had a lot of scenes since they've related is a crime of itself. Hopefully, Patrick and Elizabeth can right those wrongs, since Esme has been written out. Um, unless Esme has been written out. Um,
I yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
but
to unpack here. Like
that
it's
there's a
gotten
lot.
more and more complicated now with this whole situation because now Nicholas has taken off with Ace. Spencer sure as hell didn't ask Esme's permission, so that's
My
a
only
whole huge issue
my
now.
only thing about her throwing herself off the parapet to try to, I don't think that was necessarily to harm her child. I think it was more
No,
along the lines she was trying to escape being captive.
she was trying to save herself. That was
Right.
about saving herself. That wasn't anything to do with the. I think it was just in desperation to save herself. It
Yes,
wasn't.
completely agreed. Um,
It's all
and
about self-preservation, I think, for her in the end. But so I think we'll see eventually, like maybe she'll physically take care of her kid, but down the line, I would assume because she's like she's a freaking psycho that she's gonna that kid is gonna be messed up. God, I mean, God forbid, but like hopefully Laura or someone can intervene because I don't know. That kid, I'm scared for that kid's upbringing, honestly. Like can you imagine Ace in 10 years from now, 20 years from
right.
now? What is that gonna even look like if
Well,
that's
yeah,
even on
exactly. And I
possible?
think that's one of the reasons why Nicholas came back is seeing, Nicholas and Spencer seeing Esme how she was acting like Ryan and basically using Ryan as a mentor. You know, Nicholas feels he could be a better father. But see, here's the thing. Nicholas is on the run. Being on the run is no way to raise a child.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how
No.
did he think he was just gonna take Ace? Think
Yeah.
that Ace is safer with him on the run than in Port Charles with his mother, Esme, even though Esme, of course, is a crazy lunatic, psycho, like selfish person, but still, like he's ripping him away from the only home he's known since birth.
Yeah.
And the child is what? I don't know, 9 months?
About a year
I don't
almost.
a year?
Yeah, I think it was
So,
a year ago. Of
I still think babies can tell that they've been
course.
taken away from the only home they've ever known, even though they're only like 1 years old, right?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about babies. I haven't had kids, so please, feel free to comment, if I'm wrong. But like that's just crazy to me that Nicholas is like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna pick up Ace, and Nicholas is just gonna give him to
Right.
me because I have such a great relationship with my son to begin with, and I'm just gonna take him, and it's gonna be fine." And then Spencer's just gonna have to explain to Esme that I took him and whatever. Like, I mean, the whole thing is just freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, now we just blew up an entire like situation to be an even bigger. It was already a problem. They were
Yeah.
already having problems. Spencer, Esme, and Ace. This whole situation was already like an issue because of like him dating Trina, and now he's supposed to go to Paris with Trina. I don't even know if that's going to go down because of all this stuff going on right now. So I
Right.
wouldn't be surprised if he decides not to go to
Well,
Paris, and that's
I mean,
actually okay with me.
unless he's in prison for aiding and abetting a kidnapping. Uh,
Exactly. See, that's could be how he's written off for
exactly.
the
Yeah.
time being while he's, Nicholas Chavez is doing this other show.
Right.
So I mean, honestly, that's fine with me. I said this last week. I think Trina needs to spread her wings and fly and live her best self. She doesn't have to have Spencer with her. That's not necessary. But I feel like they feel emotionally that it's necessary for their relationship to be together in Paris, even though it's not necessarily the case
Right.
because they're young and they're in love and they feel like they need to be together in Paris and they want to be together in Paris, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. And I'm saying this as a very I don't know what you call it, low level, self aware Sabrina fan. Like, I love Sabrina, I do, but I also see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that Trina needs to spread her wings and do whatever she needs. She doesn't need Spencer to be with her everywhere she goes.
No.
That's not necessary. And let's be realistic about it. Like, I love them together, sure, But Spencer has a lot of maturing to do on his own. Like
Yes.
a lot. Still has a long ways to go.
Hmm.
And they're still going to have conflict because he's so concerned about Ace anyway. So is she really going to get 100% of him in the relationship if
Right.
he's focused on his father and Ace and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
No.
You're right. You're absolutely right. All right. And then kind of let's move on a little bit from that whole situation. And let's move into something that has gotten a little bit of controversy on Twix. What hasn't? But Adam. Adam had a big week this week.
Oh
And
yeah.
um
That was the other big focus aside from the whole Nina
yes.
crazy
So
drama.
Adam goes ahead and he storms out of the dorm because he got into it with Jocelyn because of I forget what reason it was. Probably because of some grade on the test or something. Uh or because of the I think it was because Jocelyn called the RA. So
Oh yes, Jocelyn did call the RA. He was
yes,
pissed about that. He was
yes, it was
pissed, and he was pissed that his parents got called, and that was the whole thing. We finally saw his dad at the hospital, which was really good. So we did find out essentially that he is telling the truth, that at least his dad is
yeah.
like a straight up asshole.
I have to give Courtney Folk a lot of props for coming in, and she's been killing it as replacement Joss. You know,
100%.
in this storyline alone, she is being absolutely fantastic regarding this. And when we saw her fight so passionately for Adam, whether it was Portia saying we have to call his parents because there is emergency contact on his school paperwork, or the fact of her going ahead and getting into the father's face saying the only reason why he tried to kill himself is because of you. That I
That was a big Jocelyn power move this week, and
It
I
was.
actually
Yes,
super respect her for that because
absolutely.
it needed to be said.
Yes,
Because
it did.
who else was gonna say it but her, right?
Yeah, exactly. And she always speaks her mind. I mean, she is Carly's daughter. Um, but she absolutely killed it. And it's like when she found, when he passed out in front of her and she called the 911 and she had to get his guitar, and she told the EMTs these are what I fell out of his pocket and everything. It was absolutely awesome the way that she
Yeah,
went ahead and did that.
exactly. I mean, she legit found him in the park drinking what, a huge bottle of vodka or whatever it was, and he passed out on her. She knew he'd been drinking. She knew he's super stressed about his parents all the time in school.
Yep.
Like she did the right thing.
Yes.
He doesn't like her for it right now.
Right.
But eventually, hopefully that'll come to pass and hopefully he'll end up respecting her for it. But this whole thing with his parents, I'm really interested to play out. I'm really interested to see if his mother is as big of a problem as his father appears to be in his life.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I'm anxious because his father came off as a real asshole. Like, seriously, we know for a fact that we know that what we know about them from just Adam saying,
Right.
my parents are very hard on me and stuff. But for Adam's father to come out and say, well, don't do any unnecessary tests and up his medical bills because he's already wasting all the money we're spending at PCU for his classes and this because he's not taking them seriously and blah blah. What? Like, your kid is in the hospital because
Yeah, that came across so like uncaring and
like
crass
I wanted
and
to
like
slap the guy.
I don't give a crap about my kid's health. I just care that he's out of the hospital and doing like 100% and A's on his
And that
test.
he wants to take him home now, and Portia steps up and says no, he has to have a psych eval and he's going to be here a little longer. He's like,
I
well,
think his freaking father and probably his mother at this point need a psych eval. No wonder why that kid's messed up. If his parents are real assholes, no wonder why this kid's messed up. So
Yeah.
it's completely valid all this time that he's been saying, "Oh, my parents, my parents, my parents." And I was like, really? Is it really your parents? Or is there something else going on? But now that I see his father's a real asshole, like, okay, that point's valid. Like,
Well,
you
we've only
proved
seen
that
him
to
one
me.
day. What we have seen is, absolutely despicable, but we've only seen him one day. So let's kind of wait a
One
little while.
day.
Maybe there's
Yeah,
more to the
true.
story.
One day. Okay.
Um, Kind of going back to the chat. Chad says, shippers tend to feel, and I say this as a Steve and Kayla fan on days, that we tend to expect couples to be attached to the hip. Sometimes couples, as I've said, need a holiday. That's in response to the Sabrina stuff. I don't doubt Eden would have done a good job, but Courtney and Jocelyn has been great. Yes, I love Josh standing up to Adam's dad. He deserved it. A type A, you know what? Yeah, I filled in that information. The you know what is an asshole. Sorry for so many comments, folks, but Adam's father has him so terrified and feeling ashamed. I feel for Adam. I hated when Adam's dad said that about the bills. The father needs his head checked, and that's absolutely true. And
Yeah,
it's one thing.
I'm sure Adam's not the only one who needs a psych evaluation. So
It's one
let's
thing
just
to
be
expect.
real.
It's one thing to want to have good stuff for your kids and want your kids to excel. But newsflash, the kid never asked to be here, so you can't expect
Yeah.
your expectations you can't pass on to your kids. Um,
Well,
that's
right. And Jocelyn was like, "You're pushing him. You're pushing
yeah,
him to the point where he literally wanted to kill himself. Like it was a suicide attempt." So,
was.
like,
Yeah,
she needed to say that. It needed to be spoken. And like, yes, it was technically like private, confidential, I guess, medical information because he's sitting in the middle of the hospital, 10th floor or whatever. But like, I mean, it needed to be said because who else was going to say it but Joss? And no one else was probably going to like say that to Adam's parents' face, but Joss, because
yep,
that was like a thing, and Adam's probably going to be really angry at her for that. But like, so what? Like, he has problems. He needs to address them,
yes,
right?
absolutely, he does. Um, so with Adam, I'm anxious to see where the story goes. I want to see the mother come in and see the dynamic with Adam and his parents and kind of see where that goes. I don't want them to do a relationship between Joss and Adam. I don't think that that's
No,
going to be where they
no,
go. I
no. They're
think
just
Joss is
friendship,
just going to be
just
there as
friendship.
a friend. And that's all there is to it.
Because
Um,
let's be real, Dex is hot as hell. He is hot AF, as they say. I don't think I will be dropping that for Adam, who's seriously psychologically messed up. Like, why would that be a thing? I don't
but I
understand why
think
people would think that'd be a couple. I'm sorry, but
this,
like they're just friends. She's literally genuinely concerned for his health and well-being. That's
yeah,
how I perceive it. Maybe other people are perceiving it differently, but that's what I see. And I genuinely actually see Dex trying to help her in that regard.
I agree.
So I'm fine with it. As long as Dex does it, I don't think Dex feels threatened or think
I don't
like
think either.
Adam's trying to take his woman or anything like that. So I think it's a genuine concern for Adam's health and well being at this point.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. And speaking of Dex, he did have a little bit of work this week. At the end of last week, Sonny asked him to take care of Cyrus, and um, he went and
He's almost going to do
done
it.
that. He went to
He's going to
the
do it.
hospital and saw that Nina went in there with Cyrus. He got some scrubs from the locker room. He got a syringe and some medication. And as soon as he's ready to inject Cyrus, he looks out and Sonny's there and just gives him the whole, we're not going to do it. And Cyrus grabs his hand and says, "What were you going to do?" And
Of course, at that moment, of course.
yeah, exactly. And that's when Sonny comes in and Dex gets out of there and Sonny and Cyrus, have their chat. And Cyrus
And
says,
then Dex almost got caught by another employee,
Yeah,
another
the
orderly or
other, yep.
nurse or whatever it was, and he came up with a cover story real quick. He was quick
Yeah.
on his feet to be thinking. So
I thought that was pretty funny. Um, and then, well, Dex himself, I mean, Evan Hoffer, he has charisma. He's
I mean, okay, I think that dude is a chem magnet. I swear that dude could have chemistry with a dog, and I would ship it because, like, that dude, he could look at me, he could look at anybody on GH with those eyes, and I'd be like, I'm in love with you, man. I'm in love with you. No joke. Just like Austin Butler, look at you with those eyes, that voice, that sexy voice. I'm it. That's it. I'm done. Like he's a Ken magnet with anybody on the canvas. He's even got it with Temp Joss. He's got it with Sonny. He's got chemistry with everybody. So hats off to Evan Hoffer because
I want them to
whew,
keep I want them to
good.
keep Evan Hoffer for years if they could.
I hope
So
so. I honestly,
he's
he's so
got a
good.
great future in acting. I want them to hold on to him as long as they can.
He's
I
he's
don't want to.
doing he's doing such a great job, and he's doing an event with Michael Easton coming up, and I would love to go, but I'm sure after New York I'm going to be broke for like 2 months, so I won't be able to go. But like anyone who can go meet Evan Hoffer and like Michael Easton or Evan Hoffer and like Jocelyn when they do like, I mean, not Jocelyn, but like I'm sorry, her name in real life to do a Zoom event, like go do it. Like
For
I
those of
recommend
you,
it.
for those of you actually in the Connecticut area, Michael Easton, Roger Howarth, and Josh Swickard are going to be in Stamford
Wish I
in
could go.
February. It's a
So wish I
Saturday
could
at
go.
10 a.m.
Oh
I'm
my,
probably not going to make it just because my funds are tied up with uh
Josh Swickard.
miscellaneous.
Before Austin Butler, there was you, baby, but you are like happily married, so I respectfully respect that. So, uh,
Chad,
David knows
that's
I love me some Josh Swickard, but I also love me some Austin Butler. Hence this
Chad,
week.
that's hilarious. Dex should get the Shawn Michaels theme. I'm just a Dexy boy instead of sexy boy.
I think Evan is hot as hell too, to be honest. Like they're like Evan and like Josh have that like charisma and that like chemistry they could pull off with anybody. It's really impressive, to be
charisma
quite
is something that
honest.
you can't teach. There's a lot of actors that come through that don't have the charisma, but they can act. But when you're able to have chemistry with a lot of people, and you have that charisma, you can see it. That's that it factor. You know,
It's the it factor that makes all the women at home swoon and go, "Oh yeah, I'd bang Dex too. I'd also bang Jace. Yeah, definitely. Like you know what I'm talking about, ladies. You know
and
if
then
you
you have Steve
you know
Burton coming back as Jason. So it all depends, and I can't wait to
yeah
see
with the
how
leather
they
jacket.
put him back. There has been rumors, and I heard this today on Take Two Radio that there are rumor and innuendo that Lucky might be coming back, whether it's Jonathan Jackson or Jacob Young is still up in the air, whether or not one
I don't I
is
don't know how I feel about that. I'd rather, to be honest, I like it to be Jonathan Jackson. Not no offense to Jacob Young, but his
well,
portrayal was
Jonathan
like
Jackson, in my opinion.
obsessive boyfriend craziness. So I didn't really care for his version of Lucky just because it was the time period, it was the storyline. It was really probably nothing to do with like the his portrayal, it was the writing. But
Was he the
it's
one
just
that portrayed Lucky when he was having his substance abuse problems with Maxie and
no.
or was that
That was
Jonathan
Greg
Jackson?
Vaughn. That was
Oh, that
Greg
was
Vaughn.
Greg Vaughn. Okay.
Yeah. That was Greg Vaughn. Jacob Young was the version of Lucky that came back after not Jacob, but the first version of Lucky died in the fire after Lucky and Liz had their teenage love story. They fell in love, and then Lucky died in the fire, and it was really incredibly devastating for Elizabeth. And then when he came back, he was Jacob Young as Lucky, and he was trying to he didn't really have his memories back yet because Helena had like brainwashed him and all this like cuckoo crazy stuff, and then eventually I think he got his memories back. But I only watched them through the lens. I've only watched the Lucky and Liz version 2 through the
Yep.
lens of Liaison. So I was a Jason Elizabeth fan at that point, and I was watching them for the lens of that. So Lucky and Liz version 2 was pretty much like an obstacle to Liaison getting together. So I really didn't care because I wanted Jason and Elizabeth together. So I was like, this guy Lucky, this version 2 after the fire, is a crazy obsessive boyfriend. Get him away. I don't care if he sleeps with Sarah, whoever. I don't care. Just get him off my screen. He's an asshole. He's obsessive. He's like, he wants to like control Elizabeth and what she does 24/7. I don't like it. Get him off my screen. But that was again through the lens of being a Jason Elizabeth fan. So if you were not in that mind space, you probably perceive them a different way. But I only saw it because I watched Jason Elizabeth scenes through DVD. Like somebody, had all their scenes on DVD and I bought it and I watched all of their history through that.
Yeah.
So I will put it in that way because, if you watch the entire history, like the full episodes back then, you know exactly what happened. And I know it was Helena brainwashing him and whatever, but it was not the same. Lucky and Liz version 2 with Jacob Young was not the same. And I think even Lucky and Liz fans can admit that to some extent. It was not the same. So when Greg Vaughn came into the picture, it was actually a better version of Lucky. And that's why they got married in 2005 and they had that beautiful wedding. But then he got addicted to drugs. He slept with Maxine. We know how that all went down. And then she did the deed with Jason and it was amazing. And I could go on and on about that forever, but I won't. But Night of Passion was amazing. I don't call it a one night stand. It was a night of passion and it was amazing. And it was something that had been percolating between Jason and Elizabeth and had been building between Jason and Elizabeth probably since 1999. So I will just leave it at that. That was a long time coming. That was 7 years in the making, y'all. 7 years. We got that love child, and now they barely even acknowledge they even had a relationship because that's how General Hospital is these days.
Well, let's see if when Jason comes back, hopefully they do recognize that a little bit more, especially with Jake. Because so here's the thing, and something that was
Yeah.
brought up is they started the whole Charlotte storyline about her being brainwashed by Victor and everything. They started all of that. And then lo and behold, Scarlett Fernandez goes and gets surgery done. So now she's off for a while. So that story is kind of put on the back burner.
Right.
When she
That's
does
true.
come back, I hope that I hope Jake is very much involved because he has experience being brainwashed by Helena.
Please be involved. Please write the
And then
story correctly.
that's when Jason comes in and Jason to be there for his son, you know, and I hope that that is the case.
I mean, the story writes itself,
Yes,
right?
of
Like,
course.
I mean, it's there. The
I mean, for all we
potential
know
is
right
there.
now, Jason
Will they
Morgan.
do it? I don't know.
For all we know right now, Jason Morgan is buried under rocks on Cassadine Island. So
This is this is my theory. He's going to come back with memory issues. Maybe he's going to be a Quartermain. Maybe he's going to be a Jason Morgan. I don't know. We don't know. Will Jason and Elizabeth even exist in his memory? For with my luck, probably not. Jason and Elizabeth will be like, "What? What was that? That never existed because I'm Jason Quartermain." Like that's my theory. Or we'll get the initial Jason and Elizabeth scene and then we won't see them for 3 to 6 months. That's my guess. And that's me as a very jaded, like heartbroken Jason Elizabeth fan because that's just me being realistic, honestly, because some Jason Elizabeth fans have like eternal hope, like my friend Lori. I love my friend Lori, but she has like eternal hope to the point where it's like it sounds like fantasies coming out of her sometimes. Where she's like, "Well, this is going to happen. I think this is going to happen," and I'm like, we'll see. I don't see any hints of it on my screen yet, but we'll see. Like, like if I don't see any hints of them being a romantic thing, which I seriously doubt is ever going to happen again. I'm sorry. I love Liaison. I would love for them to be romantic together. But if they ever went there again and they shocked me and Elizabeth Corte decided, you know what? We're going to put Jason and Elizabeth back together romantically and we're going to build it up for a year and we're going to get them back together. I would lose my shit. I would lose my mind. You would see me screaming. I would wake up my whole entire neighborhood. If they did a Jason Elizabeth flashback, I would lose my freaking mind. You heard it here first, folks. I would lose my mind. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Because as long as Jason is in Sunny and Carly's orbit and Sam's orbit, his history with Elizabeth is like
Well,
barely a freaking thought.
I don't necessarily know if he'll be in Sam's orbit, especially because her and Dante, Sam and Dante have a fantastic relationship. I like Sam and Dante.
Mhm.
I
Oh
think
yeah, me too. No. I
I
really
want
hope that continues.
I want to see Sam and Dante continue even when Jason comes back. I don't want to see Sam and Jason again,
No,
unless it's gonna
no, please no.
have a
That's so
story.
overdone. Yeah,
Unless it's gonna have a story behind it.
the
Um,
Jason and Sam thing is overdone. Now, could I see them being friends, co-parents?
yeah, of course.
Sure. Obviously, that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
Can I see them doing the same thing with Jason and Elizabeth? Sure. Once every 3 to 6 months. I'm sorry, General Hospital. That's just how it's been in the past. But now, Elizabeth Corte, since you're now head writer, and if you are listening to this podcast, I would love for them to at least co parent once a month. That's probably the best case scenario. And I'm coming from that. That's the most hope I have for Liaison as far as any kind of scenes together go. Will they ever be a romantic pairing again? Like I said, I would lose my mind if they made them a romantic pairing again. Will it happen? Like 1% chance. I'm not kidding. That's what I believe. And even as a Liaison fan, I believe that because that's just the history of what the powers that be has shown is that they don't really care about the Jason and Elizabeth history anymore. Would they do Jason and Sam again? Yeah, they'd probably do them again in a minute because that's just the history they've shown to
Well,
me as a viewer.
they really didn't do. And again, and it's the same thing. If Lulu came out of her coma, I don't want to see Dante with Lulu again. Like honestly,
No, no,
I didn't
we're
think that M.
past
Ryland
that.
I didn't think that M. Ryland had the kind of um chemistry with Dominic Zampronia as Julie Berman did. Uh,
Okay, I'm going to say a hot take here. You know who did have chemistry? Dylan
yes.
and Lulu had chemistry. And I know people are probably gonna fight me on this on Twitter, maybe. Then I'm gonna be like, yeah, whatever, okay. He was like on the show for another
That
3 or 4
Dylan,
years,
that
whatever,
Dylan,
whatever. Oh
that
my
Dylan,
gosh, as Dylan, like
yeah.
Robert and was it is it her name Emily? It's no.
Oh, wait a minute, which one are you talking about?
Lulu, the latest Lulu.
Who, Julie Berman or M. Ryland?
No, not Julie.
Oh, M. Ryland.
Emmy Ryland.
Yeah.
Those two had chemistry, y'all. Okay. I know they were together. They kissed for like maybe 1 or 2 scenes, whatever. It was like 10 years ago now, I think. But I mean, if
Still,
you
I
look
didn't think
back
Dylan
on
was.
the YouTube scenes, those two like made out for like 2 scenes, like 1 or 2 scenes they made out. And I was like, holy crap.
I didn't think Lulu. I didn't think M. Ryland as Lulu was with Dylan. I thought that was Julie Berman years ago.
They weren't. They weren't. They were mainly together with Julie Berman
Yeah.
version of Dylan and Lulu because I totally shipped them in 2006. The summer of 2006 was lit. That
Right.
was like hot. I
That
love that
was Scott
summer.
Clifton
That was
playing
the
Dylan.
summer I started watching General Hospital. It was summer of 2006. But no, you're right. Esme and Dylan and Lulu were kind of like a 2-second thing because they made out for like 2 seconds while he was trying to film his movie or something.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I don't remember the whole storyline, y'all,
that was
because I'm on
Dylan
my
and Kiki.
second glass of wine. But
I think you're thinking of Dylan and Kiki.
no, I'm not. Dylan and Lulu, if you look it up
I'm gonna have to look that up.
on us. I'm not that drunk, y'all. Look it up on YouTube. I'm serious. Dylan and Lulu made out when was the Robert Palmer Watkins and Emmy Ryland version of Dylan and Lulu. They made out. They had an instance where Dylan was like filming his movie. I think it was during the time like Lulu was helping him film his movie or something. And they like had a second where Lulu was going through this turmoil with Dante, and I think she was feeling super emotional or something. And they
That
like
was
made out.
Milo.
And Dylan thought they were like they had a chance for a second, but it didn't happen.
I
But
thought
it
that
was
was
like a
Milo.
second. It was like a second. It didn't like come to be a relationship, but they had a scene like one day, at least one day, where they made out on the Haunting Star on the couch. I remember this, y'all. Y'all know Candace out there from Take Two Radio and Soap Party 411. She knows what I'm talking about. She backed me up. But y'all know, if you know your GH history, you know this happened. I'm not dreaming this, y'all. I promise. This is on YouTube. You can look it up. Cuz I watched it cuz I loved Dylan and Lulu in 2006, and when they try to pull them off for like 2 seconds with the Emmy Ryland and Robert Scott Watkins version, I was like, man, they've got chemistry. Like there's something there. Now, not everyone agrees with me. I understand that. You probably think they're disgusting, but I'm telling y'all, they made out on the Haunting Star on this round couch. And y'all know who've been watching General Hospital this long, you know what I'm talking about. Vinny doesn't know. But y'all know what I'm talking about. And it was hot and like clothes came off for like 2 seconds. It was good. It was like a field goal in football. It was amazing. But for me, as a Dylan and Lulu fan, not for people who don't like them, because obviously you probably disgusted by it. But for me as a Dylan and Lulu fan, I was really excited for like a minute. For a minute that I
I'm gonna have
thought
to
they
look
might
that
get
up.
together. For a minute.
I don't remember that at all.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna look it up. Like I'm gonna have to. I just dropped my
You'll have
phone.
to send me that. Send me those links.
Look it up. I'm not kidding. I'm not this drunk, y'all. I remember GH history. Like I'm on my second glass of wine. I'm pretty buzzed, but y'all, I know this happened. I'm not kidding. Candace can back
I
me up.
'Cause
David from Take Two Radio can back me up. I'm
I
telling you.
remember when Lulu was thought out, and she didn't have her memory. I know she was with Milo for a couple, for a little while.
Yeah, that was
Back to
kind of a
town.
flash in the pan, too, to be quite
But
honest
then
with you.
after that, she went back to Dante, and you know, Dante cheated on her with Valerie for a brief minute, and they were kind of on the outs. But I don't remember. Um, yeah, I don't remember those
This
makeouts.
was in like probably
I remember her. I remember like them hugging when he came back, and Chad said the same thing.
it was
Sorry,
very brief. It was a very brief thing. I think it was probably during the summer. There was a lot of emotions. People didn't really know where they stood in their relationships. There were some unknowns. Like maybe Lulu had this, I think Lulu had this like thing with Dante where they weren't really together or they were
right.
having issues in their
That was
marriage.
after he
And
slept
she
with
kissed
Valerie.
Dylan as like it was like an emotional,
Could be.
thing. She immediately pulled away and she was like, this is a mistake. I'm not going to have sex with you. But like, it was a thing. Like, they made out for a minute on the Haunted Star on a very circular couch. I did not imagine this. I remember this because I'm a Dylan and Lulu fan, y'all. I know this happened.
Well, we'll have to look at it. Chad's on it. Chad is digging deeper. Um,
I
but
can't find it, but yeah,
well,
it
either way,
happened.
I
I
wouldn't
know it
want.
happened.
I don't want.
Robert Watkins can come on here himself and tell me because I've interviewed him and I think he knows. He knows I'm a Dylan and Lulu fan. I'm a
Although
huge Dylan
I
and
did
Lulu
like
fan.
Dylan with Kiki. I thought that was a really good pairing.
That was cute too. I like them too when it was Kristen Storms, right? So,
Oh, it was uh
or even not Kristen Storms. Yeah, when it was
when it was she's on YNR now.
Cute.
Haley Aaron.
She's on YNR now.
Haley Aaron.
I know who you're talking about. Yes, Haley Aaron. That was so cute, and I shipped them so hard. And it was just really weird when she was with Griffin for like 2 seconds. It was
Yeah.
weird. It was a
Well,
thing. It was
that's
a flash
because
in the pan.
Griffin was sleeping with her mother.
That was that was a whole convoluted mess. That should have never happened.
But then
I
Ava slept with Morgan too. So it's like,
She liked the younger guy. She wanted to play in the waters there a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
okay. Okay, so here now bringing up history, how could Ava be so mad at Nicholas for sleeping with his son's girlfriend when she did the same thing with her daughter twice and slept with her daughter's boyfriend?
Oh, see, now we really digging up history there. Now we really digging up the dirt, Vinny. Now we're doing what people do on Twix and be like, remember when? How could she
Look
be
up
like this?
look up General Hospital 6415. That's according to Chad.
Thank you, chat. I'm telling you, I'm
I'll have to take a look at
remembering
that
this
after.
correctly. It happened. It happened. It was definitely a flash in the pan. It was like a day or two, and they thought maybe Dylan and Lulu would get together for like a second, and it didn't happen. But it happened. It happened for like a moment. They had a moment of weakness, and it was hot. It was good chemistry.
I will definitely look that up. All right, but how are we doing with stuff that happened in Port Charles? I don't think we saw anything with Curtis this week. Um, I don't think. I mean, other than the fact that he had his surgery, he came out of the surgery this upcoming week. Uh,
Right. They had the surgery with
Chad
Curtis. I
says
think
that
it went well. So that
I
I
think
mean,
we're having a
I don't.
Mandela effect thing going on here.
I hope things are on the up and up with Curtis. I will say that. I hope
I
Curtis
hope he
gets
gets
back to
I
moving
hope
and grooving.
walking his ability to walk back. I do.
We need to get him walking again because the whole Curtis not walking thing is not working for me. And I don't think it's working for a lot of other viewers.
Yeah.
So, like, it's boring. Like, we need to get Curtis up and walking. We need to see him making strides in physical therapy, doing what he's got to do, especially after the surgery. Like, let's get his walking back. And then, because you can only have a man like him in a wheelchair so long. And I know a lot of viewers out there find him attractive. And you need to see that man getting some. So he's not really getting a whole lot in a wheelchair. So I'm just saying for the Curtis fans out there, I hear you, but like they need to do something.
Yeah.
To get that
All
moving.
right. Well, I think we've kind of wrapped everything up in General Hospital this week. Again, just a couple quick programming notes. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, Dockside at the Bay. My new co-host Kim will be joining me as we talk about the Bay, the beginning, episode 2. The premiere episode is already up on YouTube and on the podcast feed. I talked about the Bay, the beginning, episode 1 on my own. Also, go ahead, like this video, subscribe, get notified. Thank you for watching. As always, thank you for the chat. Nathan, Chad, David, thank you for coming in and providing some information for us. And then next week, we will be back again next Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern as well. And as again, go ahead and use our affiliate link for WWE Shop merchandise, like this cool CM Punk shirt. Go to sudsandsportscircle.com/wrestling merch. It does give us some commission, so go ahead and use it. The Royal Rumble again is this coming Saturday night at 8 p.m. on the Cock, also known as Peacock. And that'll be it'll be a fantastic premium live event as well. Again, the awesome Tumblr that I have was made by Creations by Riss, RISS, and her email address is creationsbyriss@gmail.com, and she does do a lot of custom
I've seen it.
tumblers.
Saw a little bit on her Facebook, so I'm impressed.
Yes, absolutely. Follow her on Facebook as well, Creations by Ritz. Anything you need to know about us, go to our website, sudsandSquaredCircle.com. That way, you could also subscribe on to our podcast as well, and all of our YouTube shows and videos and podcasts go to that platform as well as all the links you need for us on Twix, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, um, everywhere. All right. Again, thank you all for coming in. We're going to get into our thankful minute because we're just about done here, and we've been talking
I
for an
can't
hour.
believe we're done already. We really covered everything?
We did. I believe we did. The
All
only
right.
actually, well, the only thing that we did not cover, Michael went to Ned and said that he wanted his proxies back, his voting shares.
Hmm.
Because everybody knows about him knowing about Nina, and Ned's like, well, Tracy went to him and said, like, Ned held up his end of the bargain. Like, why would he give you your shares back? And Michael's like, it's just the whole thing was to keep the secret quiet, and I don't know, that was just kind of ridiculous. That scene itself was just absolutely ridiculous. Although Tracy did say, "I'm proud of you as a quartermain. You're showing your quartermain side." I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Hmm.
Um, but either way, it's just a lot of stuff going on there as well. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how that whole ELQ, because now Michael seems like he wants to push Ned out of ELQ, and
yeah,
I
Michael
think I
make up.
think Michael's a big control freak. I will say that. Michael's a big control freak.
Yes,
That's what's happening. Like I've said before.
yes, he has more of Sonny in him than he wants to admit.
Oh yeah,
But
for
that's
sure.
that's pretty much it. So now we're going to get into our thankful minute. As always, it is something we do just to give thanks and show how much we are thankful for what we have. As always, ladies first. So, Christy, I'm going to put you up on the clock. Here's our thankful minute.
Okay, so I'm thankful I have a job with like one of the best bosses ever who is letting me go to New York this week because I'm gonna chase down this guy named Austin Butler, who I think is absolutely gorgeous. We'll see how that turns out, y'all. Stay tuned. At Creative15 is my Twitter, so you'll probably hear about it there first. Um, let's see. I'm thankful, so definitely thankful for my job. I'm thankful for my roommate slash bonus mom who did these awesome fake nails and put them on my nails. So you may have heard her a little bit behind camera in the beginning of the podcast. She was putting on my nails, and she loves wrestling. So she was cheering you on, Vinny, in the beginning. Um, so yeah, I'm just very thankful for my bonus mom for being able to go to New York, where I'm probably going to get bankrupt. That's okay, because that's what New York City does to you. Um, and I don't know. It's going to be hopefully a great week because I finally feel like I'm not sick. I'm not super sleepy because I have all this adrenaline and anxiety and excitement for New York. So that's
All right.
that's where I'm at right now. So y'all, so follow me at Creative Fan 15 on Twitter. You'll probably see some updates.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and get mine done. Thankful for a lot this week. Kind of, and I did actually thank Christy as well earlier this over the weekend for renewing my yearning for wanting to get closer to God, getting back into church, getting uh, becoming closer. I'm trying to do a whole reset of a lot of the aspects of my life in terms of physical, spiritual, and professional. Trying to grow this brand, Suds Media, Suds in the Squared Circle. So I want to thank everybody for coming in to listen and watch, and share alike. Let's get the views up. Let's get the audience up. Let's get the subscriptions up. I want to try to get monetized and make this my job. And I know a lot of that comes from me putting out the content. That's why I'm doing it. But I want to thank you all for coming into the chat room, and thank you all for contributing as well. Chad, you're awesome. And Nathan as well, and David. Thank you guys for coming in, and thank you for sharing. I'm thankful for the Take Two Radio crew for bringing me on, and as well as just all the friends that I've made through the podcasts, whether it's Pier 54, 10th Floor, JLJ Media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Max updates GH as well and his family, the Tomlin family. So thank you. And you know what, Christy, we're gonna have a good week this week in Port Charles.
Gonna have a good
Uh,
week.
and in a few weeks, we'll see the new writers come in, and we'll see their stuff start to trickle out, as well as Jason Morgan coming back. So, again, tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here where you're watching this show, you're going to see Dockside at the Bay. So tune in. That's with my co-host for that show, Kim, and we'll be talking all things about the Bay. All right. So, for Christy, I'm Vinny. We will see you next week right here on Suds in the Squared Circle, Suds News. Have a great night, everybody.